Welcome back. You're listening to the DISCMANIACS podcast. This week's cast is brought to you by Disc Golf Park and Liebman's.
All right, boys. Welcome to episode 3 of the DISCMANIACS podcast. Thank you guys who've been listening for the first couple weeks. We appreciate you tuning in and giving your feedback. So what's really exciting right now, guys, you can go onto Spotify, iTunes, or you can go to OpenBean and search any of those places for our podcast, the DISCMANIACS podcast, and you can listen to the last 2 episodes where Tyler and Jaime talked about kind of our upbringing in disc golf and stuff like that. And then our second episode talked a little bit more about just our week in disc golf. So we'll go ahead and start this episode out just like that. One thing you're going to notice in this episode, Jaime is actually needing to take a break away from his computer. We'll say that.
Yeah.
He basically, he can't get onto his computer. So for this episode, it's going to be myself, Tyler. Tyler, welcome back. And thank you again for joining me for the last few episodes and for episodes into the future, man.
Thanks for having me.
And then we also called in a substitute who I think you guys are really going to enjoy hearing a little bit more about getting inside of the game itself and all things Discmania pretty much. Austin Montgomery is with us here. Thanks, Austin, for coming in. I know I hit you up, 2 nights ago to ask you to be on this, so...
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to be here and talk with you guys in a formal setting.
Absolutely, man. But, so before we get too deep into your life, Austin, I just want to catch up real quick. Tyler, what have you been up to the past couple weeks?
I finished my pergola, so that was pretty exciting. Yeah, built a covered patio. Not a very handy guy normally, so that was a pretty big accomplishment for me.
Did I hear the city was mad at you or something?
Yeah, it's not technically legal, which is a bummer. But if I remove the roof...
I'll edit that out, don't worry, dude.
If I remove the roof, we're fully good. So if we ever sell the house, I can just do that, and then it's above board on the books, all that good stuff.
Cool.
But other than that, I have been preparing for my first tournament since quarantine hit, which is at Dry Creek up in Cheyenne, Wyoming this Saturday. So we'll see if I still know how to play the game when it matters.
It's funny you say that. I think my only 2 tournament aces are on that course.
Oh.
Yeah, so good luck.
Okay, perfect.
Hitting ace, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, I played league. Our local league finally started up on Tuesday to kind of brush some of the dust off and see if I could still putt under pressure.
Same
and whatnot.
Course or different course?
No, different course. Our local course at Eudora.
Oh, okay. I imagine that's going to be a little different, right? I feel like every time I think of Eudora, I'm thinking of like kind of a shorter course.
No, Eudora's actually got some length.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like we talked about it maybe in actually one of the last couple episodes.
About playing it. Yeah, it's a pretty good course, honestly, all things considered.
And then, so the course you're playing the tournament on, is it going to be fairly similar to that, or?
It's another park course, so it's going to be windy. It's in Cheyenne. It's always windy.
How far Well, I guess you throw really far. You don't really need to worry about distances too much, but in the wind...
Yeah, the farther the better. Stretch it all out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I don't mind playing in the wind. I'm pretty used to it.
Nice.
So.
Cool, man.
Yeah, just kind of polishing up a couple things that have been giving me problems, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think I talked to you guys last time about I have to get out of my head as far as form goes. So, yeah. Those practice rounds are nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. That was even just at league, like the slightest bit of pressure. Ooh. It's like relearning, don't think about what you're doing. Just go do it. You've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
fair
golf.
enough.
Put the toy in the bucket.
Yeah, when you're playing open, I would imagine that's kind of the mindset you can get into, right? Because you know what your abilities are pretty much at this point, Like,
Yeah, I mean, some people I think do focus on like little form things, but
yeah.
that doesn't work in my brain. It's got to just be, you know,
Yeah, you're just out there
repetitions and-
throwing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel that because, yeah, I've been trying to get more back into that mindset myself. But that COVID-19 took my arm, man. That's what I'm telling people.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I felt like over winter I was starting to gain some more distance, and then quarantine, and now I'm getting back, and I'm like, ooh, I haven't been stretching as much as I need to.
Yeah, for sure. I actually was playing a lot during our break, but I tweaked my back a couple weeks ago, so I had to take like 2 to 3 weeks off
Yeah.
just to heal up, and that I can definitely feel it. It's like even those couple weeks, it feels a little off.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Just like timing or something, or you...
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
It's
But
usually
you're
the
feeling
first thing.
better, right? You're not...
No,
it's
yeah,
not
pain-wise,
bothering
it's
you at
all gone.
right?
Yeah.
You're good.
Yep, just getting the groove going again.
Well, good luck, man. I guess.
Thank you.
Also, lots of stretching and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about working out and stretching and all that stuff. So
Cool. Well, sounds like you'll be tourney ready, dude. So I
yeah,
believe in
I
you.
think so. We'll tune in next week, find out how it goes.
We need to find the over under on that and make some wagers there, Dave.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
There's some good competition. So
What's a 1,000 rated round out there? You think?
oh man, it's a good question. It's a pretty scoreable course, but it's not. There's a lot of trouble because it's called Dry Creek, but it's not a dry creek.
Okay.
So there's a creek that runs right next to a whole bunch of baskets. So
Gotcha.
in the wind, if you got some putting woes, you could take a lot of bogeys.
So like 5
For
down,
sure.
you're saying? 6 down?
Um,
Or maybe not
Yeah.
even that much.
no, probably more if it's not windy, but that's probably about accurate if it's windy.
Well,
But
I'll
we'll
take
see.
I'll take the over, Austin.
I don't bet against Tyler. I've learned.
You're too kind. You should bet against me plenty.
I was gonna rig it, man.
Yeah, if you could pull that off, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm above it.
So, what do you have a disc or anything that you were throwing a lot out there during the weekly that you were feeling, or?
So I had to kind of go. Forehand's also giving me a little elbow problem, so I've gone away from that. Just getting old, That's how it goes.
Yeah. Try an
but
Enigma, man.
Yeah.
Oh. I think his arm's too big, TBH.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yep.
So I've been throwing a lot more like touch annies, and I noticed that I don't really remember how to throw touch annies because I've been throwing forehands for a while.
Yeah.
So I went to the field and threw just a ton of putter shots, ton of mid ranges. My compass is like my go-to, just neutral mid.
Okay.
So I'll be leaning on that if the forehand's not fired up and good to go.
Nice. Just some touch turnovers and stuff.
Yep, just something that goes right.
Yeah, fair enough. Essence?
Yep.
Essence.
No, he's still probably too much
Yeah,
on.
he would probably. That's probably a roller disc actually for you.
Is that the fast
New
one?
fairway.
Oh,
That's
the
our
fairway.
fairway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was watching Colton throw that. He was destroying that disc,
Yes.
throwing it a really long way.
Yeah. Yeah, Colton's insane, man. But
Yeah, kid's got some pop.
so with the compass, you think you're going to be leaning on that a lot over the
Yeah,
forehand?
unless it's windy. I mean, I'll probably end up throwing my Lucid X Enforcer on half the holes if we get 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Just spike hyzers
Yeah, just
or skipping them. Oh, probably
control
both,
the
right?
angles. Yeah,
If it's a good course.
yeah. We'll see. I haven't played the course in a while, so
Nice. All right. Well,
we'll see how it goes.
Good luck again, man. And
Thank you.
We both believe in you, sounds like.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, as for me, I actually hit my second ace in my life.
Let's go.
Yeah. I've been posting it all over social media, so you guys probably already know about that, but
I actually didn't know. I haven't been on social media a ton. What'd you do?
I flicked my Glow FD2,
Uh-huh.
my favorite one, because
Yeah.
Jaime stamped it for me. I mean, granted, he stamps pretty much all my discs in my bag, but
especially that one.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he stamped it real good.
Yep. So that was already kind of like my favorite FD2 that I have. And so, yeah, hitting a forehand ace. It's a flick. It was only like a 200-foot hole, disclaimer.
Hey, ace is an ace.
Yeah,
Yep.
It was at, for those of you in the PDX general area, Portland, you guys probably know Rockwood. But Rockwood's a pretty short course. You throw your putter on basically every single hole, except for me because I like throwing forehand a lot. So I'll still throw, FD2, FD3, maybe even a PD2 if I'm messing around with like flex forehands or something. But yeah, it was nice, dude. I I love the FD2. The Color Glow Royal Rage run is so sick. I am not gonna stray away from those for a very long time. I can throw them backhand, I can throw them forehand, and I feel like they're stable enough for both for me to, lay into them as much as I want. But I mean, they still keep me honest sometimes about staying, on a good like flip up to straight, but just super trusty finish. And yeah, so I just flicked it, did a little hyzer flip, cruised left to right into the basket. Yeah,
Very
was
nice.
sick.
Nice.
It felt
Congrats.
good.
Congrats.
I mean, dog pop off.
You were talking about a race?
I really like the Royal Rage run of FT2s. They are sick. If you guys haven't checked them out, please check
It's a signature edition. Usually, like all of Discmanias have like a fancy name.
Yeah,
and that's Leo's signature disc.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's
yeah. So the Royal Rage FD2, for those who aren't aware, because Tyler, you were asking while my dog was popping off.
Mm-hmm.
It is a Color Glow FT2, so it's a signature run.
yeah, Leo.
Yeah, Leo. Okay. So, yeah, it's a really sick fairway. I love it. Otherwise, I have been feeling a little bit more natural in my form. That's why I was agreeing with you so much, Tyler, just about getting out of your head and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's as I'm playing more disc golf, the good thing is I'm, throwing a little more smooth. I'm throwing the Essence a lot. Austin, kind of what it's like, and a lot of people do know because of Colton how far you can actually throw that. But it's definitely more of a touch disc. I think the reason Colton can throw it so far is because, I mean, the guy can throw arguably a flippier driver and throw it with a lot of snap and not, just completely roll it over. Mm-hmm. And so it's still kind of a touchy disc. Like if you are putting a lot of like off-axis torque and stuff on it, then it's probably going to flip too much for you. But I was throwing it off the tee a lot for, 380-foot holes, and so it's good. It's nice. It's good to have that shot or feel like I'm getting that shot back. You know what I mean?
Well, and if you can throw that kind of disc, smooth and far,
yeah,
you're doing something right. You're not, like you said, you're not wobbling out of the hand. It's
right. Yep.
It's kind of a form check disc.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's nice to be able to rely on that, really. Just hyzer flipping straight. If I just need like a wood shot, or, there's a lot of OB left and right, just being able to be like, this disc will just kind of land flat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to get that shot back. So, yeah, so it's been a good week. That's been my stuff. And then, obviously, my disc selection of the week, kind of spotlight disc, is the FD2 because I aced with it, and it's
because it goes in the basket.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, so Austin, thank you again for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
I heard you guys were starting this up. I was hoping it would just be a matter of time.
Yeah, of course. Well, we play video games together, so we talked about it a lot. So
yeah,
finally came together.
Yep. Yeah, I remember you actually hit me up after the first one. You're like, "Hey, man, like, good job on it." You're like, pretty on top of it. Like as soon as I posted it. So thanks for just like supporting this in general. I hit you up for the name of the podcast just to make sure it was cool to use DISCMANIACS, and you're like, go for it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So,
heck yeah.
But what I'm excited to talk to you about just in this particular podcast, besides our usual conversations about headshots and,
yeah, sure,
who's the best character in Valorant, is actually to get a formal chance to ask you kind of about your disc golf journey, who you are in disc golf today, and maybe just some of your thoughts about just the atmosphere, I guess, of working inside of disc golf.
Sure.
You'd say. So
yeah,
take us back to the day of a young Austin Montgomery getting into disc golf. What does that look like?
Yeah, I played my first round in 2006. I was just in high school, and my local high school has a 9-hole course right across the street. I didn't even know about it. Grew up in the town, never really knew about disc golf, and one of my friends took me out, and hole one at my home course, it's big lake shot, and he threw it across the lake, which at that time looked like he threw it a mile. In reality, it's like still. And he got all the way across, and I didn't. And I think that very moment was when I got hooked on disc golf. So yeah, I started playing a lot. And again, my home course has water on it, so losing a couple every round, having to go buy more, and yeah, I just started out, yeah, and so I kind of just started out playing against my friends. Then I started beating them more often, and I started seeing these other guys out there that were just crushing. Like you could tell they knew what they were doing, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I think within the next couple weeks, I attended a league, and then.
So it was competition from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean that's one trait about me that some people like and some people hate, but like I'm super competitive. I find the dumbest things to make competitive, and I certainly don't win all the time, but I do like to compete a lot, and it was competition right out of the gate for me. I think I played my first tournament maybe 8 or 9 months after finding the sport, opened up in rec, actually opened up in juniors, and I think it's interesting to say my very first ever tournament round was actually with Paige Bierkes.
Really?
Yeah. I disc golfers that have kind of started to sprout up in Colorado, and I played in the 19 and under division, and I mean I don't know how old she is. She's around my brother's age, so I think I was 16. She must have been 12 or 13. I played with her and her brother, so that was my first ever round, and I pretty much got hooked right away. Played my way went through juniors and rec and intermediate, and just year by year tried to play as many tournaments as I could. And then when it was about time for me to graduate high school, me and a good friend, he was a year older than me, had already been up to Colorado State University. We looked into starting a disc golf team up there. I think I noticed on YouTube that collegiate disc golf was a thing. I think it was maybe like 10 or 12 teams, but I was like, oh, I definitely want to do this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my next step after in high school, and kind of taking those 4 years to get my feet wet, starting that program up at Colorado State my freshman year.
So were you playing open? I imagine you were playing open by the time you started.
I think my first pro tournament was actually my freshman year of college.
Oh, okay.
So about the same time.
Nice.
Yeah, about the same time. I moved up. I remember distinctly, actually, like Fort Collins is about 45 minutes away from where I grew up. And, I was pretty good in my local scene, and I was younger, so I went to my first Fort Collins league, which was pretty intimidating. I mean, I had played the course before, but it's a much bigger town. And I remember my very first league, I bumped into somebody we're all familiar with, and that's Chris Brubeck. He was the only other young person out there. And I think the league director put us on the same card intentionally for that reason. And of course, right out of the gate, it was competitive. we weren't like, best buds right away. But I think after the round, he had told me he worked at the Right Life, which is the local, like at the time, one of the only disc golf shops that I knew about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking for a job. So, let me know if you put in a good word for me. That'd be awesome. So, I've just kind of had the perfect culmination of disc golf for my freshman year of college. I had started this team successfully that we had, 10 or 15 players out for the team right away. Chris ended up getting me an interview at the Right Life, and I got a position there, which would be my college job for the next 5 years. And I'd like to think that is a major reason why I am where I am right now. But yeah, basically started this collegiate team. It was a lot of work. The first year we went out to collegiates, we weren't very good. I think the sophomore year we recruited heavily, and we actually went out and won the national title that year.
So sick.
Nice.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, one of the biggest accomplishments. Well, as far as my playing career, definitely my biggest accomplishment. I think I have, through my entire collegiate career, we have a national title. I think we held the #1 ranking in the country for 24, 25 months. Also, like with that comes probably my single lowest moment in my disc golf career, which crazily enough Tyler was a part of. But the following year we were heavily favored to win again, and we had picked up Tyler. It was his first year on the team, and he was like a sleeper. Tyler is and was a very good disc golfer, and we should have won, and we all aired pretty poorly on a pretty easy forehand hyzer, and we ended up losing the tournament by 1 stroke. So I've had my highest highs and lowest lows, and somewhere between me starting and Tyler and I competing for a national title together. I remember a moment vividly where I met Tyler, or didn't even meet him, I don't think, but just saw him or witnessed him. I was out at Badlands with some people. I think it was my first time playing that course. I didn't get out of town much because I think this was before I even had a driver's license. But, I was very prideful on the fact that I was young and I threw far, and somewhere out there on that course, one of the gentlemen I was with goes up to Tyler's dad and Tyler and says, hi, hey, and Tyler's a little bit older than me, about 10 feet taller than me. And he steps up on the hole and just smashes a drive, and instantly I was like, oh my gosh. I have to step my game up. It was born without Tyler even knowing it. Yeah. But anyways, back to the point. Yeah. So my collegiate disc golf career, I feel extremely lucky to have even done it, because I think of all the tournaments I've been to, I mean, I've been to a lot of Worlds. I've been to the Vibram Open. I've been to the European Open, and still, of all the events I've been to, that collegiate event, there's just nothing like it. Like trying to win with a team of people in an individual sport.
Yeah, it's a unique, special experience for sure.
It was. And so, yeah, basically worked my career through the Right Life. Somewhere along, I think 2012, after we won the national title, is when I first got sponsored by Discmania. And what a lot of people don't know, and it's pretty crazy for me to even think about it then, because I was decent, but I wasn't, a phenom like some of these other people. But I think I was the third Team Discmania member in North America, behind Avery Jenkins and Nate Sexton.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know. See, these are things that I didn't
know that
we
either.
Talk a lot.
Yeah, I don't.
He's just a humble guy.
There's too many experiences, but yeah, third ever. And the story behind that, and this will just be helpful, because I know any disc golf videos. How do I get sponsored? Yeah. Obviously, you don't have to be, but it's beneficial if you're a good player. But you have to also be a little bit persistent. I have to say, I
definitely
wrote UC emails frequently. To this day, he says too frequently, but he said, eventually it clicked with him. I think my emails were generally well spoken and professional, and they gave me a chance in 2012, and the Discmania sponsored life.
Yeah.
Like I said, extremely lucky. I would like to think part of the reason why I got even on the team to begin with is because I worked at the Right Life, and that shop is run by an absolute legend of Frisbee sports, Bill Wright, and he been a huge mentor to me professionally and in my playing career. And it's probably one of the bigger disc golf shops in the country, especially. And I'm sure UC thought, well, hey, this kid's nice. He writes good emails. He's done pretty well at disc golf, and he can probably push our plastic at this pro shop, which is exactly what I did. I think it's
He's
true.
A company man through and through.
Tyler. I think maybe in 2012, Discmania was relatively unheard of, just getting started out with some of UC's marketing ideas. And I think the town of Fort Collins went from 0 Discmania discs owned to, I don't know, they had to be in at least 20 to 30% of the bags by the time I was done at the Right Life. So anyways, did that all the way through college, graduated.
What were you doing at the Right Life? Were you just just managing the shop and selling plastic? And
well, I wasn't, definitely not a manager. I worked in the back, primarily fulfilling orders.
Okay. So you probably handled a few of my discs, I'm sure, that I have right next to me, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. And fulfilling orders. And then I also work the floor as well, which Right Life's an interesting shop. It's not just disc golf. It's skateboarding and snowboarding and clothing and women's clothes and men's clothes. And, I learned a lot about being a salesman there. I mean, I remember getting offered a job after I sold a snowboard to a guy saying, hey, you're a great salesman if you'd like to come work for me. And I'd never salesman, and I'm technically not right now, but that was definitely Discmania. I developed, customer service skills, for lack of a better term. And I guess just to get people excited about things to where they spend their money on it, I guess. But I think that in conjunction, I ended up getting my degree in what most people would say is the most useless degree you can get, but I would firmly disagree. And I got my degree in philosophy. So, I learned how to speak well from there, and with, selling on the floor at the Right Life. I think it was a pretty good combination for what I was looking to do. And I remember after graduating, I just had worked in a disc golf shop for 5 years of my life. I think it's only the second job I had ever had. Yeah, man, I have to go do and And I was just dreading it, thinking about what it would potentially be. I think probably the highest at a bank somewhere, doing something with ethics. I just remember thinking, I really, I don't want to do this, but I feel like, the natural pressure as you're a young 20 something, you've got 40 grand in student debt, most likely, if you went to school. Like, you can't work at the Right Life forever, even though I
Right.
I couldn't. And so, pretty good relationship with Erno. He was kind of more or less the team manager for Discmania at the time, and again, a huge
Interesting.
influential person in my life. I wrote him an email to see if they'd be interested in an employee, and I think at the time it was two of them there, Erno and a gentleman named Ryan Rentala, who was also very responsible for me even getting hired on. I think the first time I asked, hey, like, are you interested in an employee? It was a firm no. I think the second time I asked, firm no, not
Which
even
was like
interested.
the next day.
Yeah,
The day
second
after that,
time,
he asked.
yeah. Second time I asked was another firm no. Third time I asked, Erno said, yeah, why don't you give me a call? Well, all these guys are from Finland, and I don't know anything about Finland. But I get on the phone with this guy. I think, this is probably a couple months between the first time I asked, and he has the deepest, most Russian sounding voice I had ever heard. And, he was asking me about my goals and stuff like that, and hung up the phone. He shot me a message later and said, yeah, you should look for work elsewhere. I'm like, geez, man,
Wow.
I botched it.
That's
I
rough.
botched it. I don't think it was anything that he didn't like me. I think I was
Yeah.
pretty transparent, though, that I wanted to make good money someday. And I think that, he being a small company at the time, and they're looking for people to, make probably more of a financial sacrifice, and just kind of turned me down again. And finally, I think it was, he said, hey, why don't you start looking into this one task for me? I was at work, working up in the front, and I was like, okay, yeah, this might be a little bit of a test. And I returned it was something that would have probably took 3 hours of hard computer work. And I did it at work and sent it back to him that day. And he invited me out for an interview after that. So
Nice.
Yep. And that's pretty much the story. I flew out to California I mean, they didn't say it was an interview. They just said, hey, why don't you come visit the warehouse? I went out there sensing it might be an interview. UC picked me up off the plane, and pretty much as soon as we walked in the doors of the warehouse, he started grilling me. And yeah, I mean,
Well, so that was pretty intense, or what?
Yeah, it was. I mean, because I haven't had to interview a ton. This is now my position at Discmania. It's my third job. Never been let go or quit to go somewhere else.
And
Unless
UC's kind
it
of
was
a legend. So
yeah, he is, and it was intimidating. I think one of his first questions that he asked me is in 10 minutes of me meeting the guy,
yeah,
if I gave you $500,000 in the disc golf industry, where would you spend it?
Oh gosh.
nice.
And I mean,
question mark.
yeah, I think I knew what he wanted to hear, so I think I kind of baited him a little bit there.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a pretty intense thing, and I think by the end of it that day, they offered me a contract. I called my mom and cried because I have never left Colorado, and
yeah,
I gotta say, this is a little. I wouldn't be able to be doing right now if it weren't for my wife. I mean, we were together at the time, had years, and she went to grad school in New Mexico, and that was going to take 2 years. So I figured, hey, I have 2 years to kind of take a chance on something. I certainly was not earning, justify the decision if it weren't for, hey, I'm just going to give it a shot. Here I am. So yeah, pretty much that's how it got started. And I know, there's a lot of people out there that are probably thinking,
yeah.
and how
Tons
do
of
you
people would want to work in disc golf, or at least claim
Sure.
they would.
Yeah, and how can I do that? How can I accomplish that? And I mean, I think the moral of all the things that I've gotten lucky with is the theme of this all is got to be persistent.
Yeah, for
Research.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah. Squeaky
If I-
wheel gets the grease.
That's right. And
So we'll give out your email. And if you want a job in disc
I'll
golf,
give you his
email
number.
Austin.
It's fine. Just direct.
just persistence.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's got to be the right kind of persistence. You got to time it right.
Well, I mean, you had
you got
experience.
to do some things in your life. You know,
You have to have.
You started a team that's been very successful at CSU. It's still going.
Right.
You worked at
You're
a
a good
disc golf
player.
shop to kind of get your feet under it, and
Yeah, it's true.
That's cool.
you worked at it.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good story. So, when you first got hired on, like, what was the job when you first got hired? Because I know you've had at least one title change.
Yeah,
since I met you.
So I think I just hit my 5-year anniversary with the company.
Okay.
Nice, congrats, man.
Yeah, thank you. And this is one thing I tell people that we hire as well. I've pretty much done everything you can do at Discmania at the moment. I started out, it was such an easy transition because I fulfilled orders at the Right Life for 5 years. And that's, online store orders, picking discs off a shelf, putting them in a box, printing the label, shipping it out. I mean, and that's exactly what I started out doing at Discmania. It was me, Ryan, and Erno. And, Erno, he is still to this day, heavily involved in the more managerial side of the company.
For sure.
Ryan was trending in that direction as well. So I was kind of the warehouse grunt.
Yeah.
I did that for a year. I think probably my title was warehouse associate. I think I've been called out on my lie that I stamped longer than I really stamped, but I think I stamped. Yeah, Jaime would call me out right now because I think one time somebody asked me, "Hey, how long did you stamp?" And I said, "I don't know, like a year." And they're like, "No, you didn't," because exactly how long. So I stamped for a couple months, but I know how to run a stamp.
Okay.
And then probably year after that, I think they hired me with the intention of sales. I mean, that's how I presented myself to them.
Yeah.
And I moved in a position where I was, I still, of course, everybody does a little bit of everything. So, I mean, just seriously, 2 days ago, I stamped discs.
I heard this is not a lie.
Yeah. So, I did a little bit of everything still, but I moved into the sales.
So there's a lot of X outs at the.
A lot of
Discmania
X-outs that
USA
week, but
now.
you know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I admit I did have a couple. But yeah, I moved into one of the office positions while still kind of doing some of the warehouse work, and my job was to sell disc golf parks. And
Sounds
now
pretty
at
cool.
yeah. I mean, so like one thing I've noticed over professional career is I might be like selling is natural to me. I don't want to sell things that like I don't believe in. That, I mean, it just feels a little cheesy to me. I've been in that position before, and so selling disc golf parks, I mean, man, I couldn't believe in anything else more. It's our one-stop shop for a disc golf course where we'll do the design, provide all the equipment, and so I did that job for another year, going to trade shows, trying to get courses in the ground. And when I first started, we didn't have one in the ground, and we're definitely 20-30 courses deep now, I think, pretty somewhere in that range. And after about a year of that, they promoted me to sales manager for Disc Golf Park, where we brought in a bunch of representatives to continue to keep pushing Disc Golf Park. And I think that's where I really built my relationship with Avery. He's been, aside
Avery
from
Jenkins.
Yeah, Avery Jenkins. Yeah. Again, pretty crazy that, I get to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
But
talking to a disc golf legend is pretty cool.
And he's pretty passionate about selling disc golf parks. So I met Dana, and both of those guys, I would say, have become. He came on as a designer initially as well, and a salesman. So did sell another, I think, year and a half, and unfortunately, Erno he came here, he got the company established, and he was ready to go back to Finland. And I think I showed him enough in those 3.5 years that, they wanted to give me a shot at running the show. And so now I'm in my current position now of director of operations. So that's what I do now. And kind of, when we hire people and they may start at the warehouse and kind of feel like, oh, I'm just warehouse employee. Like, I try to make it clear, like, hey, you can go from warehouse employee to as high as you want to go inside this company. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one thing. I feel fortunate that I've been involved in a lot of the hiring of the staff that we have now. But like, one thing that I am super proud of for our company is we just have so many passionate people.
Right.
And so, with passion and hard work, I know this is cliche, but if you have those two things, you can inside of Discmania. So that's kind of my journey in my professional life at Discmania.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So I did want to ask you actually about some more kind of Discmania, maybe insider type questions. I couldn't let you come on here and not grill you a little bit about your job.
Sure.
But before we do, I do want to ask you, is there a certain disc in your bag that you want to shout out to people right now? Like what's your go-to disc right now off the tee, or approaches, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably my go-to disc in my bag right now is the EXO.
The EXO
lineup Link.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, I use it for throwing, putting. It's honestly crazy to say, but it's replaced the P2s in my bag. I don't carry a P2 anymore. So I think the Link is an up and coming putter for sure.
Yeah, the only P2 I still have on my bag is one that a good friend gave to me. So
I know which one you're talking about, I think.
So yeah, so that's a good choice. You had the Link. You came and visited Portland and played Milo McIver.
Yeah.
And you were putting with the Links before they were actually released.
Yeah.
And you said, hey, check these out. And I putt with them a couple times, and it actually felt pretty good. We were actually talking about the Link last time. Because, I like the Link a lot too. So, and you were the one that was kind of like, hey, try this out, So,
yeah.
So that was cool. But, so more about Discmania.
Sure.
Real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all.
So, Austin, you need to tell me a little bit more about working in disc golf in general, Discmania stuff. So, again, thanks for letting me grill you about just your job in general. But the first thing I wanted to ask you was, Discmania has been kind of an attractive company for me personally starting out, because just kind of the simplicity of Discmania and maybe just like the marketing of Discmania has really maybe caught my attention. I don't know. I mean, the plastic obviously makes is a huge part of that equation, but I'm just wondering, as far as just the vision in general of kind of Discmania and maybe the overall direction of the company as far as marketing and stuff like that, where does that kind of come from? Is that pretty much all you see, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. Number one, I mean, you ask what our company goals are, a company vision.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can think of one that stands out, and when we walk into our office, it's the first thing you see when you walk through the front door. And I think it's a picture of Simon, and it says, our vision to be the world's leading disc golf company. So that's what we strive for every day. Every time we go into the office, we see that. And, that's our goal. I mean, whether it takes 2, 20, or 10,000 years, that's what we're shooting for. So that's our company vision and goal. As far as your direct marketing questions, UC has a background in marketing, and he's not the only one inside of our company with a background in marketing.
Yeah,
And
right.
so, he had a vision as far as what this brand was going to be back when he was selling discs out of his garage, and he wanted to make a professional, clean looking brand. I mean, I think that's the roots of it. And I think if you look at most of the things we offer, I know our signature series gets a little wild sometimes, but most of the things we offer, most of the things we offer are our attempt at a professional image and a professional level product. So that's kind of been in our DNA from the beginning. I would say, as far as like the vision of our company, I think, yes, you can attribute a ton to UC. But one thing that I, again, love about Discmania as a workplace is you get an opportunity to contribute no matter, what position you hold inside the company. A good example of that is this DISCMANIAC that we just are getting ready to launch next week. Basically, Chris came up with the idea that, hey, we should have a company mascot. I think that would be kind of cool. Geico has the gecko. Why can't Discmania have one? And there really isn't such a thing inside of disc golf right now. So UC said, I like that idea. Why don't you guys think about it? And sure enough, like, the version of our mascot, the DISCMANIAC, was actually done by one of the gentlemen that does our warehouse and financial work, John. He doesn't have a specific background that gave him a bunch of credibility. Like, we just listen to each other fairly well. So
Okay.
I think the vision is a group effort. From top to bottom. Definitely the bulk of it comes from UC, but we all get a chance to contribute, and I think some of the best ideas our company have come from places you don't always expect it.
Yeah. I think one thing, as I learned more and more about Discmania, and the more that I became friends with you through just playing video games together, pretty much through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
The more I kind of learned about the way your company operates, and you're a really tight knit group. It seems like. I mean, you guys appear to be all friends and pretty much have each other's back, and all are all excited about disc golf. Which I would imagine is one of the requirements to work. Hopefully it's one of the requirements to work at a disc golf company. But I don't know, just something about it. You guys' involvement with your customers, and just that kind of mix of, I don't know, I guess friendliness plus like the professional, clean brand side of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of a good combination for a disc golf company. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of the vibe of disc golf in the first place, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean it's funny you say two things, because two things you said there that I find funny are, one, the customer service side. Like, that's something that we pride ourselves on. We since we're not the direct manufacturer of our products, it's going to be rare where we enter the market with some piece of technology never before seen. But that just gives us an opportunity to shine in other areas. And it's a tough challenge, but we always try to put the customer first. That's what we pride ourselves on. And honestly, like, we overdo it sometimes. Like, we overwork ourselves trying to make sure that we're making our customers happy. So that's certainly a philosophy inside the company. And the other thing about friendliness, like, it's sometimes tough on social media when you've got half the people saying they love you and half the people saying they hate you. But one thing, yeah, it's true. And
Well,
one
welcome
thing,
to social media, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're talking about. That's the case. But we're always encouraged to be ourselves. So like when you see Chris on a post interacting with somebody, or Jaime, or the rare occasion that it's me, like we're allowed to just be ourselves. We don't have to put on, some front that isn't, really the way we are. So I think, those are two important things I'd like to point out that you just kind of touched on.
Yeah, and I think it permeates further than that too. Even through the brand, it seems like that's part of the overall, I don't know, experience or whatever that is kind of being projected even through, just look at Simon's vlogs, for instance. Like, they're all feel good, positivity and, stuff like that. Even Eagles stuff. Even like the behind the shield stuff, I feel like it's UC just saying, hey, let me show you what's going on in, with Discmania. And I mean, that's a similar vibe to other disc golf companies as well. I mean, you've got, Dynamic does a lot of kind of stuff like that, but
they do. Yeah. They're good at it. They're good at it. And I mean, I would be lying if we don't look at that and say, hey, like we have some personalities inside this company that we should let shine through too. I mean, Simon,
for sure.
I mean, that is 100% him when he's
he's a personality.
Yeah, that is 100% him. And it's not like, UC's feeding him some script. He just goes out and he's a very, very laid back guy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I seem like whatever that kind of... I know I'm being probably super cheesy right now and people think I'm a shill, which I guess I kind of am. But but I feel like that's, because we know each other. I play, video games with Jaime and John, and Chris Brubeck. And so getting to know you guys and seeing you guys interact kind of on a day-to-day basis seems like sometimes I'm impressed because I don't know that I could get along with my coworkers as well as you guys do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because a small story, like when I moved out to California and took the position with Discmania, I lived with the other two guys that I worked with. So
yeah.
I've definitely been on the end of it where like I live with my boss.
Yeah.
And if I want to get drunk, I got to kind of watch my step even when I'm at home. And, so I don't really promote mixing home and work life much, but I will say, I live with Jaime, I live with Matt as well. And I think I just learned after being in that experience, which Erno made great for me, like that we don't really take work home. Like when we're excited about something, sure, that comes home. But like, at work, sometimes I'm sure they want to kill me, and there's plenty of times I want to kill them. But for the most part, when we walk out of the doors, we let work be. And I mean, same thing with Chris. I've been, we brought Chris on a year or two into my time here, and I had worked with Chris at the Right Life before. I had worked and lived with Chris at the same time. So like, we are all extremely tight knit for sure.
Yeah.
We all pretty much know each other. And what's awesome is we brought two people from California back to Colorado with us when we made the move, and they started fresh. Like, they had to make new friends. And, for example, Tyler has met all these guys after, being in Colorado the whole time. And,
yeah.
And, everybody's been super welcoming to them. So, we are pretty tight knit. I mean, when we're not working and like we're hanging out on the weekends, odds are, all of us or separate groups of us are hanging out on the weekend, playing disc golf, whatever it may be.
I think you all need a frat house.
Discmania frat house, yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing it already. I guess it's
I like that. I like that.
Would that be Delta Sigma Kappa.
We'd find some Finnish numerals or something like that.
There you go. Hey, roots of the country.
True.
Or the company, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, and in general, too, when you were talking a little bit before about people kind of think they want to work in disc golf, I mean, I've thought about that before as well, because, I mean, there are times where I don't, when I get off work, I just stop thinking about everything about work, versus if it's a recreation that I love or something I'm very competitive about, in your instance, how does it feel kind of working, if you have a tough day at work or something like that, and then can you just immediately go play disc golf to cool down, or what's...
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I mean, I get asked this a lot, and it's something you need to think about if you do say, hey, I want to work in disc golf. First of all, I want to say everybody's different.
Sure. Yeah, of course. But
everybody,
for you specifically.
Yeah. And we have employees that as soon as we get off work, they go play disc golf. Like, they can't get enough. And so there's certainly that side of the coin, but there's a saying that I heard from some of the Innova guys, that when you get a job in disc golf, you lose 15 points on your rating and you gain 15 pounds. And I gotta say that's probably true for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, the challenging thing is, like, I definitely, if you would have asked me, in 2010, like, what are you going to do? I would have said, hey, I'm going to try to be a world champion disc golfer. Yeah. And, quickly after getting this job, for me at least, it's a challenge for me to, I pretty much, when I took the job, I abandoned any, furthering of my competitive playing career, because for me, having, gone to school, worked in disc golf at the Right Life, and played tournaments for those years through college, like,
right,
I was pretty much burnt out on it. I don't have a break. I didn't have an escape. Like, I'd go to school, I'd go to work, and I'd go play disc golf.
Yeah.
And when I'm at work, it's disc golf. And then when I get off to, like, go blow off steam, it's still more disc golf, and people talking to me about work constantly. And so for me personally, like, the thought of like what it takes to be tournament ready, like, not just all the work you put in on your free time, but hey, I get off work on a Friday, I haul butt 3 hours away to a tournament.
Right.
I'm there playing Saturday, I'm there playing Sunday, and potentially playing poorly, which is even worse. And then I drive home, I get back at Sunday at midnight, and I go right back to work and do it all over again. Like, to me, at this point in my life, like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So I've had to find some different outlets for how I spend my free time, and I still play.
Yeah, but you're playing casually.
Yeah. And so, I still I get a round or two a week in for sure, but we have some staff
still impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I'm honestly, the only reason why I do that is probably, of course I enjoy disc golf, but probably my pride too. Like, I don't want to let myself get too bad.
You can't get too rusty.
I mean, it's already rusty, but I can't let it happen much more. So I pretty much am just trying to maintain and enjoy when I get out with my friends. But, like, I have found that it's easier for me. I enjoy life more when it's not disc golf 24/7.
Right.
And one thing, that I will say as well,
there.
And like, the thing, again, a common theme is, like, I'm hyper competitive.
Yeah.
And when you stop playing competitive disc golf, like, there's clearly a void missing. Like, if you're a competitive person, and
I could see that. Yeah.
And I miss the heck out of, like, trying to play against Tyler week in and week out and losing, as we found out earlier today, like 10-3 over a season, even though I thought it was a lot closer. I have never, but still, like, that competition that fuels me personally. And, like, one thing that I, like, makes me know that I am in the right job is like, I feel that at work now.
Yeah.
And I am super competitive at work with, all the things that we try to do. Like, I want to try to do it better than anybody else. And so for me, like, I've been able to keep that competitiveness in my life, even though I don't, play tournaments week in, week out. And, I'm pretty happy about that. I think, like, there was a clear path, crossroads for me where I needed to decide, like, hey, am I going to go try to do what my brother's doing right now, get a van, try to go on tour and keep my fingers crossed that it works out?
Right.
Or do I want to take a stable position in something that I love, that I can guarantee for as long as I don't screw up, I can do it for 8 hours a day. And props to people like my brother. Like, man, I'm jealous. No, do not get me wrong. I am extremely envious of my brother.
Colton Montgomery, by the way, for those unaware.
Yes. And I'm jealous for sure, and I'm proud of him. And the thing that's crazy is I kind of feel like I live vicariously through what he's doing on that side, and right. I get to enjoy the rest of my life, which, work's a third of what you do.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool to think about how you transition kind of like that to, because I personally know it's something that when I first met you and first started asking about Discmania and stuff like that, it's always been, I want to have the best disc golf company, out there. And so some people can say that, sometimes you can have that poster on the wall or whatever, motivational quote poster or something like that. But it really feels like you personally take that very seriously. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool place to come from, I feel like. So,
like I say, I feel like I'm extremely lucky, and if I could go back and change anything, like at this moment, of course, hindsight's 2020, but at this moment, I don't think there's anything that I would do differently. Like, I'm very happy how things have turned out.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you are largely responsible for, it's amazing how much you guys get done with kind of the staff that you guys have and just the job roles that, operating just such a influential company. It's a very popular company, let's say, and you're a big part of that, so I don't know, props to you, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, like I said,
it takes it seems like you're crushing it.
Yeah, like I said, it's still, there's a lot of things that, I feel like it only takes one slip up for any company these days to go from top to bottom. But it's been a fun 5 years, and I'm hoping, to be able to look back and say, hey, it's been a fun 10 years and so on. So
yeah, it's also interesting that internally you guys have that goal in mind, yet so just that competition type vibe,
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are, started in, working with Innova and now
Mm-hmm.
working with Latitude.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's kind of that interesting blend of professionalism and I don't know, business versus like this feeling of, oh, let's actually coordinate with other companies and rise
for
all
sure.
boats.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and when I say about that sign in the front of the building, world's leading disc golf company, that could be leading in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, you're right.
That's one thing, I think I can't say I speak for everybody that works in disc golf or all of the manufacturers when I say this, but one thing that I noticed is, I'm really competitive. And the first time I was on a trade show floor, like, I remember looking over and see the other companies' booths and thinking, like, man, we're going to blow these guys out of the water. Super competitive.
Yeah.
And like thought that, hey, you don't talk to them, they're the enemy, And one thing I've quickly realized inside the industry is, like, we are legitimately all in this thing together. Like,
Yeah.
The more that Latitude grows, the better it is for us. The more that Innova grows, the better it is for us. The more that Discraft grows, I mean, you name it, we're all more or less rooting for each other.
Yeah.
And you know, that's one thing that's cool about it in industry in general is you know, if we all work hard, and I think we have some great minds in the sport of disc golf right now is on the business side. You know, if we all work hard and chase down, you know, what we're aiming for, we're going to all lift each other up. So it is super competitive. I am super competitive. Our company in general is super competitive, but like, mean nothing but the best to the people we're competing against.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we've talked about this before, but or at least Tyler, you and I have talked about it because you are with Latitude. Basically, we're kind of in a similar position. Just you do it for Latitude, and I do it for Discmania, basically. And it's pretty cool to be able to have relationships with people, even at, you know, what I'll call my level, I suppose. How I can find commonality with other disc golfers just through the plastic alone. Where, oh, this is a Discmania disc, but it's Latitude plastic. And if somebody throws Latitude plastic, they're like, oh, okay, let me feel this. Oh, it feels like kind of this, or, you know, and then they kind of show me what discs they have that are maybe in a similar shape or mold or similar plastic. And you're like, oh, you know, I can kind of feel some similarities, or like we were talking about just like Latitude Glide for some reason, just between the Enigma and the Essence, that just, it does, Tyler describe it as just Latitude Glide, and I have to tend to agree.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. I don't know if Tyler's heard this from his own camp, but one thing I do know, the disc designer for Latitude, he says that he prides himself on the glide of his molds. Yeah. So I think it is a thing. Like, they are
definitely a thing.
Yeah. So
yeah. So
you know,
so it's cool to be able to relate to people, you know, on the consumer side. You know, it's cool to see that, because I mean, I'm the same way with just my bag in general. I mean, part of that is being actually, you know, Team Discmania. I'm gonna want to have only Discmania discs in my bag, but I also enjoy learning what other people throw, and
right.
you know, knowing, oh, okay, that's a Felon, so I'll throw my FD3 type thing. So it's cool to have now even more of an additional bridge, kind of, to just talk with people, to know what they're throwing, and have more things to talk about with people who have other brands in their bag. Because sometimes it can be, oh, you know, I only throw Discraft, and, you know, any other brand sucks. You know, that can, like, there are people out there that are like that. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
Well, one thing I want to touch on that Austin was talking about, that Discmania strives to be the best, but they're working with two other companies, and everybody needs to succeed for one to succeed.
Yeah.
It's just the parallels between that and actually playing disc golf just struck me. Like, there are not very many competitors you'll play against that doesn't want to see you ace. Like, aces are sweet.
Yeah, true.
People are going to get excited.
Right.
It's a very, like, camaraderie sport, and it's cool to see that at the business level as well.
For sure. That's a very good point.
Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, so we're coming in at probably somewhere around an hour right now. So I will relieve you of being grilled by all my questions. So thank you, Austin, for just letting us talk to you about this stuff, because I know usually when we're hanging out, you know, we're usually talking about, again, just playing a bunch of Valorant.
Yep.
Clicking heads.
So getting into these super in-depth conversations, even just about life in general, can be tough when you're listening for footsteps and stuff. So, but what I did want to talk to you guys about real quick, as is kind of a common thing we usually do during the last couple episodes, and we'll probably continue doing, is just talk about a little news. And so it looks like the Disc Golf Pro Tour, or is officially, I suppose, is starting back up for sure on the 26th. So, yes, finally. I still have my Disc Golf Pro Tour subscription ready to go. So
I do as well.
I'm stoked for more coverage. I mean, the putting competition was sick, so I'm not mad about that.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Who won that?
What is... Oh, shoot. What is his name?
I saw Simon got smoked.
Miami Vice. Does that ring a bell to either of you guys from the Jomez? He had it. Oh, shoot. What is his name?
Well, you let us know if it comes to you.
Yeah, he had a famous clip where he just put on his sunglasses after nailing a huge putt and everybody lost their mind.
Okay.
He just couldn't have looked any cooler.
But yeah, so I'm ready to get back to regular disc golf coverage, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Big
it's
time.
been cool to see all the different content, and we've been talking a little bit about it, just in the last couple episodes of the podcast. But it'll be nice to get back to the big tournaments. We're basically gonna have GBO, which is a sick tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess Kale LaVisca has a new course that they're playing a tournament for the Pro Tour on after that, I suppose. So I'll be excited to see what that is all about. New courses are cool, and basically having, another big tournament with good, coverage where you can watch, you can watch live, you can watch Jomez, you can watch, Disc Golf Guy, getting the full tournament media exposure, I guess. I don't know. There's just something about it that makes it a little bit more enjoyable in some way. I don't know if that do you guys?
It'll feel like summer again finally.
Yeah, that's true.
Like in my mind, it's still March, and it's way too hot for March.
Yeah, that is true. Honestly, yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, like I'm ready for summer, and it's finally around the corner.
Yeah.
Same.
Yep. So yeah, you're right. It will feel a little bit more like summer finally.
Even though we're halfway through, but
yeah. And then I also saw Ulti World did a survey of, I guess, his professional players only.
Yep.
Yeah, because there was something like 40. I think they
40
said
plus.
40 plus responses. So I would assume that means the top pros. I mean, Ulti World, I would imagine, would get a pretty good response from.
They didn't contact me, so it's probably not the scrub pros. So.
I mean, if you're over 1,000 rated, I think you have. Right
I didn't get the email.
Opinion.
Come on, Ulti World.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of interesting stuff. Just about how they feel about the PDGA in an anonymous survey, and just ask them what they think of, like, how important are majors for the PDGA, and how much does the PDGA kind of help promote majors and grow the professional scene. And it seems like most of them thought that, PDGA is interested in promoting majors, which, I mean, I feel like they are as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, tournament coverage is, going to be how you get people to play tournaments, and so I would imagine they would like to promote the sport.
Yeah, I was happy to see the response was pretty positive.
Yeah. So
I think everybody has one, like, there's so many different aspects of the PDGA that they have to deal with that everybody's got something to say, but overwhelmingly it was pretty positive stuff.
Yeah,
which was
for
good
sure.
to see.
I was excited to see that favorite stop on national tour was largely Beaver State Fling for the course and the city itself. So that made me feel good as a Portland native, basically.
Mm-hmm.
No
It
one
does
said
not
it was their
surprise
least
me.
favorite.
No.
Does not
Least
surprise me.
least favorite. It's funny we were talking about. It's actually pretty spread out, but so three tournaments, and you guys can maybe tell me, since I don't know, you guys might have played in these tournaments at one point or another, maybe, or been around at least. So GBO for the course, apparently that's one that was least favorite voted, anyways. Las Vegas Challenge, that one I kind of get. It's the golf course, I think, is really awesome, and I wonder if people are still having, thinking about like Sunset Park when they used to play that.
Yeah.
If maybe there's
Or
some.
it's just like, it's interesting that both of those events are historically crazy windy.
Yeah.
Oh, true. And
there's a lot of OB at those courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Wind
I
and
guess
OB can
Milo
be a
McIver
frustrating
doesn't have
combo.
any OB, basically, unless you throw it in the river, which is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Most of the holes are pretty far from the river.
What was the other
Delaware
course?
apparently was
Sorry, say that again?
Delaware was one of the other ones, though not for the course, but for the city itself.
Oh, poor Delaware.
Yeah. So
I can't speak to that.
yeah, me neither. I haven't been to Delaware, but maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody can leave a comment or something on Facebook and let me know.
Well, I know
Yeah.
I know GBO played they only played the golf course last year.
Yeah.
And personally, I think Jones Gold is one of my favorite courses of all time to play in a tournament. It's just it plays so well. I think it's super challenging, super fair. There's nothing fluky about it. It's just go out and hit the shots.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe golf courses are not loved by as many pros. I think it's a good golf course as far as those go. I think it's one of the better laid out ones, but
yeah, and I mean, well, we're talking, this is relative to just the other national tour
right,
courses.
the elite courses in the country.
Yeah, which I mean, these are the top courses in the country. So we're really
it's high. Yeah, maybe it's not a bad course. That's what we're trying to say.
Right. Yep.
But Austin made a good point. It's really freaking windy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, locally, I have, I'm very lucky to have Milo McIver pretty close to me, but
you're spoiled. Say you're spoiled. It's okay.
I'm spoiled in my area for sure.
It's true.
Like really, like a lot.
I mean, I have, Blue Lake disc golf course as well, and that's really close to me. But Milo's usually not as windy, so a lot of the time I prefer to play there anyways. So, but plus a lot of OB and stuff like that can definitely influence your opinion of a course.
Yeah.
Austin, you sorry to hear you lost so many discs.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good.
Starting out,
paid my dues.
I couldn't imagine. I would probably get frustrated. Would have gotten frustrated starting out that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was my mom's money. I was a kid, so
Nice.
I just didn't feel the the depression. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I've got a bag full of signature releases, so losing discs is rough sometimes. But yeah, so
one thing I wanted to say about this survey is I just saw the last one is going to be about who pros least like to play with, and also like divulging sponsorship details.
Really?
So I think that's coming out tomorrow, and that is pretty controversial, if you ask me. Like,
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. You don't want to see that, like, nobody likes to play with you.
Yeah.
And also, you know, like, I don't know how many responses they'll get in regards to, like, player deals. I would say they tend to be kind of more hush hush. And I just wonder, you know, what kind of things will be, you know, what will we find out? Maybe nothing, but it could be like a lot of juicy info.
I suppose so. I could see how it would be pretty awkward, like, least, you know, contract details for sure, but with it being anonymous, that, you know, at least it's not, oh, so and so has this specific agreement with this company, and you know, like, it definitely could be potentially eye-opening, I suppose. Just say, you know, on average, how much does, you know, a 20+ response survey, you know, you're like, oh, that's how much more or less that an average disc golfer makes. I mean, I feel like that's not even really, you know, as interesting as that would be. Like you said, who knows who's going to be responding and how many people and stuff like that. So yes, it would be eye-opening in a way, but I don't know if I would even trust exactly what's going on. As far as least favorite disc golfer to play with, that seems way more personal for sure. So
we'll see.
I mean, we'll see if we even respond. I don't know that I mean, if I took that survey, I would probably just cross that out and be like, nope, no thanks.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, hopefully you just get a bunch of, like, funny responses or something like that, like Nate Sexton or, you know.
All the guys that we know are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be maybe my choice. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Actually, now that I scroll down on it, I do see next installment will feature player opinions of other players. That's at the bottom of the Ulti World article that we were looking at before. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that will be pretty interesting coming up. But I think that's all I had for news at this point. Austin, before we kind of get out of here, I mean, we usually kind of finish with plugs and stuff like that. Is there anything, you know, do we just Google Discmania or what? Yeah. I mean, shoot, it feels weird to plug our own company, but yeah, every disc bot helps, and yeah, I'm grateful to have been able to be on here with you. Hopefully, I can come back and do it again. Yeah, for sure. Tyler, any final words from you? Plugs, Twitter, Instagram.
I'll make sure to put this Austin's phone number in the comment section down below. So feel free to just call him relentlessly if you need a job.
Instagram.
Practice the persistence.
Phone number drop.
Yeah. No, you'll have to find that on your own. Sorry.
Okay, nice. Well, as for me, please go check out my YouTube channel if you have not. It is just Thunder Disc Golf, as well as if you're already listening to this podcast, thank you guys. But depending on where you're listening to it now, again, I just want to remind you guys, you can find us on iTunes and Spotify at this point, and you can also find us at Podbean under the DISCMANIACS podcast. So feel free to check us out any way you guys want, but specifically, so my YouTube channel is more disc golf reviews and stuff like that, so appreciate you guys supporting that as well. Just for one last time, thank you, Austin and Tyler, for joining me, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.